Good evening. It sounds like my microphone's working fine. Everybody can hear it okay? So we're here from the Public Utilities Commission, 3 commissioners and council here with us. I have a notice. I'm not going to read it in its entirety, although it's not long, but I am going to refer to it. This is a case regarding Veolia Water, Rhode Island. Our docket number, for the record, is 25-30-WW. Pursuant to the provisions of Rhode Island general laws, the Public Utilities Commission is conducting a public hearing. Today is March 30th, and we're at the South Kingstown Town Hall Council Chambers. This hearing was previously scheduled, but was canceled due to inclement weather. I hope folks didn't get disturbed by that. The purpose of this hearing is to accept public comment on Veolia Water Rhode Island's proposed application to increase rates. In this case, Veolia is seeking to implement a change in water rates. The proposed rates are designed to collect an additional revenue in a 12-month period in the amount of approximately $1.6 million to support a total cost of serving of approximately $7.5 million, which represents a 28.39% requested increase from the current cost of service. For a typical residential customer using 6 CCF per month, the impact of this request would be a monthly increase of $11.30 from $31.60 to $42.90. The impact on all other customers would vary based on customer consumption. The materials from this for this case are on our website. It can be found at RIPUC, on the RIPUC website, searching on Google, and we have a link there to our cases, and this is, again, docket 2530WW. What I want to do before we get started is, first of all, I'm Chairman Ron Gurwitowski, and I have Abigail Anthony and Karen Bradbury, my fellow commissioners. What I want to do is just get appearances of counsel for the parties, and I'll start with the company.
Good evening, Chairman. Joseph Keogh on behalf of Veolia Water Rhode Island, Inc.
I think you have to hit, yeah, there you go, hit that button.
Here we go. Andrew Teitz, T as in Thomas, E-I-T-Z, for the town of South Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Okay. We have other parties here? Oh, we have the division, okay.
Margaret Hogan from the Division of Public Utilities and Carriers.
Very good. So, just some ground rules, which are not all that surprising. What I'd like to try to do is have people come up. We have a stenographer who's going to be sitting right next to you. So when you come up and speak, if you can mention your name again and then spell your last name so we get it right on the record. Typically, I limit folks to about 5 minutes. I'm not really rigid about it, but when you get to about 5 minutes, I may signal, and that's not to shut you down, but just to say, look, it's been 5. If you can find in the next minute or two a way to close out, that would help everyone. So, so anyway, I will do that as needed. The other than that, I don't think it'll be very difficult. We do have a sign-up sheet, so if you're interested in making comments and you haven't signed the sheet, you can wander over here to council and put your name on it. But I'm going to need to follow that sheet as we go through. My understanding is that the council, I don't know if it was the council president, had a conflict and was asking if he or she could go first. I'm not sure who that is.
Yes.
Oh, sure. All right. So if you'd like to go first, go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Alexander Menzies, M-E-N-Z-I-E-S. Good evening, members of the Rhode Island Public Utilities Commission, residents of Narragansett and South Kingstown, and valued members of our communities. I stand before you this evening not only as the Narragansett Town Council president, but as a neighbor, a Narragansett resident who understands the very real pressures families and businesses in Narragansett are facing. Across our town and throughout our country, people are grappling with the rising costs of everyday life. Groceries are more expensive, gas prices remain unpredictable, and essential household expenses continue to climb. These are not abstract concerns. They are felt at kitchen tables across our community every single day. It is in this context that we must carefully consider the proposed water rate increases by Veolia Water, Rhode Island. Water is not a luxury, it is a fundamental necessity, essential for our health, our homes, and our livelihoods. Any proposal to increase the cost of such a basic service must meet the highest standards of fairness, transparency, and accountability. Unfortunately, as it stands, this proposal raises serious concerns. The burden of these increased rates would fall directly on our residents, working families, seniors on fixed incomes, and small business owners who are already stretched thin. At a time when affordability is one of the greatest challenges facing our community, adding yet another financial strain is simply not acceptable. We must ask, is this rate structure fair? Is it equitable? Does it reflect the true cost of providing service, or does it disproportionately impact those least able to absorb the increase? Before any rate adjustments are considered, it is both reasonable and necessary for Veolia to provide a comprehensive cost of service analysis. Such an analysis would ensure that rates are aligned with actual service costs and that customers are not being asked to shoulder an undue burden. Transparency in this process is not optional, it is essential. Our residents deserve clarity, they deserve justification, and most importantly, they deserve a rate structure that is affordable and equitable. Let me be clear, we recognize the importance of maintaining and investing in critical infrastructure. Reliable water service is vital and it requires responsible stewardship. However, those investments must be balanced with the financial realities of the people who pay them. We are not opposed to progress, we are opposed to unfairness. Tonight, I stand in strong support of the residents of Narragansett. I urge Veolia Water, Rhode Island to reconsider this proposal, to engage in a transparent and data-driven review process, and to work collaboratively with our communities to develop a solution that does not place undue hardships on our residents. Together, we can ensure that our water system remains both sustainable and affordable, because no resident should have to choose between paying for water and meeting other basic needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Menzies. Jordan, do you want to give me the list now, and then you can keep another piece of paper if others come in? If you came in and you haven't signed up yet, we have a sign-up sheet here. So the next person I have on the list is Karen Ramsey, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
My name is Karen Ramsey, R-A-M-S-A-Y.
There you go.
Commissioners, it's very good to see you. First, Veolia is a very profitable international company, while affordability is a concern for our households, as we watch utility costs grow by leaps and bounds. What are you going to do to help us? Do we have a contract with Veolia? Can we use another water company that would meet our needs better? Is that even possible? The Rhode Island Water 2030 report by the Rhode Island Division of Planning states that southern Rhode Island is groundwater dependent and lacks storage capacity. Therefore, water is not always available when and where needed. Goes on to say storage capacity must be increased in order to provide long-term reliability. 16 of the last 20 years, we have seen either partial or total outdoor water bans. Where are the additional storage tanks necessary for delivering the water called for? The report continues, the trend of sprawling development as identified in Land Use 2025 is detrimental to the long-term sustainable future of water supply for the state. We are watching development continue without infrastructure changes to match it. We are told each year how expensive it would be to clean up the closed wells, dig new ones, or do anything to meet water demand. And each year those costs grow as nothing is done. Now Veolia seeks a huge rate increase. For what? More tanks? Better distribution? New wells? It is clear that the infrastructure needs attention, and that fact is being ignored. Instead, we are looking to make new ordinance to institutionalize limiting water usage rather than dealing with the real problem. Veolia certainly isn't meeting the needs of this community as they price gouge the consumer. Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramsey. The next name I have on the list, if I'm reading it correctly, Susan I'm sorry, I can't read the handwriting.
That's me.
Okay, you're going to have to pronounce it.
Yes, I will. My name is Susan Colantuno, and I'm nervous. Colantuono. Commissioners, thank you so much for coming and hearing our concerns. I'm speaking in opposition to Veolia's request for a rate hike. I'm very late to this issue, so I've reviewed 3 important documents just today. Veolia's 2025 annual financial results, their press release about the Rhode Island rate application, and the legal filings that they presented to you. What I found is striking and troubling. Veolia is a French corporation operating in 44 countries. We do have a right to understand why a French company is in control of our water, but I think that's a question for another day. As Karen intimated, Veolia is a thriving company. In 2025, they reported nearly $1.9 billion in net profit, up 9% over 2024. They've hit their profitability goals 2 years ahead of schedule. Their board just approved a 7% dividend increase for shareholders, along with a $440 million buyback of their stock, which is another way of benefiting shareholders. And their CEO's compensation has jumped 20% to nearly $4 million. They seek to partially fund their continued success through rate increases on captive customers like we. Here's how. Veolia's press release describes a 28% rate increase to fund $17 million in local infrastructure for roughly 9,000 homes and businesses. But that 28% figure is misleading because South Kingstown and Narragansett purchase water at wholesale rates for their residents. According to the town's legal filing with you, Veolia is proposing a 35% increase to the wholesale meter charge and a 105% increase to the volumetric charge. To put that in concrete terms, they are more than doubling their rates. Veolia now charges $1.639 per 1,000 gallons wholesale. They want to raise that to $3.365, an increase that will inevitably impact every resident. Even if they don't get their water from Veolia, the town is going to have to figure out some way to share that through taxes. Yes, proposed infrastructure investment is needed. Karen pointed that out. But there are questions no one at Veolia has answered. Why is Veolia, a company with $1.9 billion profit, asking roughly 9,000 South Kingstown and Narragansett ratepayers to bear 100% of the infrastructure cost? Why is Veolia, a company paying their CEO $4 million a year in compensation, asking our residents, many of whom, as the attorney previously stated, are facing financial hardship through the increase in costs, inflation, and the decrease in public services and federal funding? And why is Veolia, a company carrying $21 billion in debt from global acquisitions, passing on the cost of their growth to our small communities? The good news is that you must approve any rate increase. The towns of South Kingstown and Narragansett have filed legal motions to intervene in your proceedings on our behalf. They believe the proposed increases are, quote, highly unaffordable, and raise serious concerns about rate shock and the public interest, and I happen to agree with them. Veolia has responded by filing an objection, trying to block our towns from even participating in your process, and that alone tells us something. And that's why I forced myself to speak today. You are listening. And I would ask anyone who came not intending to speak to also get up and say something, because this is our opportunity to be heard. You require that rates must be just, reasonable, and consistent with public interest. A doubling of our town's wholesale water rates by a company using nearly $1.9 billion in profits to reward shareholders and staff serves only Veolia's interests. Thank you for being here and hearing us.
Thank you. The next name I have appears to be Ian Butterfield.
Good evening. My name is Ian Butterfield, Butterfield, and I'd like to thank you for having this hearing. This is actually important enough that this is the first time I've come to a town council meeting. I've lived in this town for a few years now, and in my brief time here, frankly, the tap water has been undrinkable without filtration or boiling. As it is, the water provided by Veolia is such poor quality that we are already paying extra for it on our end, for those filters boiling, etc. My fiance has lived in this town her entire life. She assures me the water here used to be fantastic. Even when her uncle comes in from out of state, he still makes comments about how much different the water is from when he used to live here. Now Veolia wants us to pay more for that product. And on Veolia's website, you can find an article about their proposal to invest $17 million in our water infrastructure. And I'm sure this rate is to pay for good investments. They seem sound. It's increased capacity, replacing pipes, smart systems. Seems intelligent. It increases efficiency. And as a small business owner myself, when I buy new equipment to increase my efficiency, I can't just pass that cost on to my customers. That's more of that dollar they're giving me I get to keep. I don't charge them more, I keep more of what I actually get. We're being told this will make our water more expensive. Well, by increasing our rates, Veolia is asking us to pay for their financial opportunities. The day they decide to sell our system to the highest bidder, they get to charge for the investment we paid for. On the topic of investments, Veolia has just completed its 8th corporate acquisition since 2024, this last March 24th. They purchased Enviro Pacific for $154 million. Just this past November, they acquired Clean Earth for $3 billion. They have plenty of money and available credit to expand their business, but now they need more money for these services that we actually want and pay for from us. And we're not the only ones suffering this. Go online and Google Veolia rate increase. You will find articles, multiple states. We are certainly not the only ones in this conundrum. The same year, they completed 4 corporate acquisitions, including Clean Earth last year. All of these articles have come out about them requesting a rate hike. Many of them within a couple months before the purchase would go through. And I'm sure that to anyone making thousands of dollars a year or millions of dollars a year, any increase like this water bill, which I have heard here 28%, others have said 50%, obviously that's a little muddied. However, even if it is 28% and we make it a flat 25 for the ease of math, that's another $120 a year coming out of most of our pockets at a time where fuel prices are skyrocketing. We just can't afford that. People like me, the average American, trying to start a family in this town, can't afford it and are more likely to have to leave, either not start our families here or start our families elsewhere, because the town that, I mean, I've only lived here a couple years. I really like it here. It's a really nice town and a really nice area. I want to raise my family here. I want to take advantage of that new high school that's getting built and have my kids get to go to that while my taxes are paying for that. But if prices like this keep going up, this community is going to shrink because folks like me just aren't going to be able to live here anymore. But in conclusion, we as a community need to consider who we're trusting with our necessities. Right now, our water is being maintained by a company that their corporate headquarters are in France. They're a company with a $50 billion global revenue. Sure, it sounds a lot smaller when it's $1.9 billion is actual profit, but that's after people got paid a lot of money to run that company and not to actually come here and make sure our water was good. Some folks will be paid to make sure they come to our local towns and communities, but it certainly won't be anybody up in charge up there. While we are being provided this service by Veolia, we are not only paying for our water, we are paying their corporate salaries, we pay for their acquisitions, we pay for their marketing, and frankly, they're a private company. We pay for their lawsuits because big corporations get sued all the time. For acquisition reason, for other reasons. Either way, we're paying that because we're not paying our town to run our facility. I don't know about folks in this room, but when I pay my water bill, I want my bill going towards clean, drinkable water for me and my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butterfield. The next name I have is Rich. I think I got to get somebody else to draft them.
I think it's Rich Bourbonnais.
Oh, Rich, okay. You'll spell your name for me.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Teitz, again, T-E-I-T-Z, attorney for the town of South Kingstown. And we are here, and Mr. Bourbonnais will be presenting this testimony in a moment. He is director of the Department of Public Services in the town.
One question I have is that typically if a party's here,
Yes.
then the time to have the person comment is usually at the hearings. It is the town. I'm going to,
Yes.
but I just want you to understand that this is not going to be evidence. It will be comment that we take like other members of the public. That's not to deteriorate. It's
We understand that. We
Okay,
understand
all
that,
right,
Mr.
good.
Chairman, but we want to also get this here and have the public hear about it. Our concerns are slightly different, although they delve down into the individual rate payers, because our own customers are going to pay for this, that we buy wholesale, but we also have specific technical concerns, and so I'll let Mr. Bourbonnais discuss
Okay,
that.
sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's Richard Bourbonnais. It's Bourbonnais. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate you coming to South Kingstown. I know that this was potentially scheduled up in Warwick. That would have been, or Warwick or Cranston, but would have been particularly difficult for everybody here. So I greatly appreciate that switch. So just generally speaking, the town of South Kingstown and Narragansett understand the need for safe, reliable water service and the importance of ensuring that Veolia recovers all its legitimate cost. But a 105% increase proposed for the wholesale rate is unprecedented, unsupported by actual cost causation, and would impose significant and unnecessary hardship on the residents of both towns. The towns of South Kingstown and Narragansett have their own distribution systems. Veolia's distribution mains, reservoirs, hydrants, and services don't serve the resale customers. I can't speak to Narragansett's infrastructure, and they can speak on their own. But generally speaking, South Kingstown has two water districts. We have the Middlebridge District, which has 290 accounts, approximately 3.6 miles of pipe conveyance and hydrants, and the South Shore Water District, which has 2,584 accounts, 2 400,000-gallon water tanks, chlorination building, booster pump stations, hydrants, and 48 miles of conveyance. As noted, Veolia's request includes an increase in the volume charge of approximately 105%. Because the request appears to reset the distribution system improvement charge, the DISIC rate, presently 7.5% to 0%, the overall impact is less, but is not specifically clear if the DISIC rate will reappear, in a sense. To fully understand the reasoning behind such a large proposed rate increase, we look deeper into the cost of service analysis as presented in the filing. Veolia's analysis related to the cost of service does not differentiate between South Kingstown and Narragansett, nor does it differentiate between South Shore and Middlebridge. It's just a flat rate applied to sale for resale, wholesale customers. Cost of service requirements provided in the filing are heavily weighted in source of supply, but regarding other expenses categories, little backup information is included. Transmission, real estate taxes, income taxes, etc., lack applicable information on how they are applied to customer categories. Also, cost of service values are high in sales for resale transmission categories, where you would expect to see far less cost applied to sale for resale. Again, because we have our own transmission, we have our own distribution systems. Commercial sales specific to, this is a little bit of a further dive, but commercial sales specific to commercial industrial customers would work with the same conveyance system as residential and require all the same transmission and administrative resources, although the proposal is to decrease the commercial category from 17.4% to 14.5% cost of service. Commercial shows 21.8% cost of service for source supply, and 16.8% for transmission and distribution, while the sales for resale is 28.2% for source supply and 22% for transmission. It's understandable these values are aligned in source supply because it's all just water supplied. But commercial sales are far more reliant on Veolia's transmission and conveyance than sales for resale. Therefore, the transmission and distribution rates appear disproportionate without adequate backup, as it's difficult to understand how these values are even applied or spread over these different locations. Finally, and not specifically noted in anything we're going to write, I think we're going to write something and maybe send it off to the commission, but this will be formally written up. The town's Middlebridge Water District lay between the Veolia system and portions of Narragansett. And the way it works is there are 2 meters, one at the start of the Middlebridge system, and then one near Middlebridge where it crosses into Narragansett. The differential value between these 2 meters is how South Kingstown is charged for their water for Middlebridge. Middlebridge system forms effectively the transmission and distribution to these other locations within the network outside of our districts. No fees are collected by the town to account for this transmission, and the service provided by the town to Veolia is another unaccounted for item in the analysis of cost of service value. That is the basis of this exceptionally high proposed increase. In summary, the proposed increase in our wholesale purchase of water will have a direct impact, of course, on our ratepayers. The town may look to do incremental changes to our rates because we just think this might be a little bit too much. And what that will force us to do is to actually dip into our capital reserve in order to cover those costs that we're going to lose on this proposed exceptional increase. This will greatly eliminate our ability to address our capital improvements, and more importantly, it really reduces our ability to address state requirements for water quality. Obviously, we're all required to do a lot of testing and all these other things, and it affects all of that. So I really appreciate the opportunity to speak, and again, I appreciate you coming down. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. So I have Joy. Again, I can't read the handwriting. I'm sorry.
Jay.
Oh, it's Jay. There you go. I'm even worse than that. You're fired on taking control of the list.
You can blame Rich for that one. So it's Jay Wedgemont, W-E-G-I-M-O-N-T, and I'm on the South Kingstown Town Council. Welcome to South Kingstown Town Hall Commission. We really appreciate you all coming here to be able to hear from the public of Narragansett and South Kingstown. Like I mentioned, I'm Jay Wedgemont, and I serve on the South Kingstown Town Council. I'm here to strongly oppose this rate increase. This rate increase is not in the public interest. It is going to disproportionately affect seniors, young families, folks who are already struggling with higher prices on electricity, higher prices at the gas station, higher prices at the grocery store. Everything is more expensive, and this is a rate spike. The South Kingstown Town Council approved a resolution on March 23rd to oppose this. You'll hear from other council members tonight, and frankly, this is the most important part of your job right here, to really understand and hear from folks who are struggling to make the bills. This spike is going to hurt families disproportionately. It's going to hurt seniors. It's going to force people out of their homes if you approve this. No one's opposed to making sure that the water prices are at a reasonable price for Veolia, a multinational company that's making billions of dollars in profit. No one's opposed to that. But this is a rate spike. Please do not approve this. Continue to listen strongly to the members of the public in South Kingstown and Narragansett who are really, really honest about how they're struggling right now. This is not in the public interest. Please deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I have, looks like Michael Marin? Yes. I got that right?
Good evening. My name is Michael Marin. I'm the Vice President of the South Kingstown Town Council. The council already
Can you
submitted...
spell your last name for us?
Sure, M-A-R-R-A-N.
Very good.
It's behind you. And I appreciate you being here tonight for this hearing. I won't repeat in my comments some of the testimony that's already been offered, so I'll try and cut to the chase and keep it original. I would like to point the members of the commission to testimony that's already been submitted by experts on behalf of the division, particularly Maureen Reno and Jennifer Rogers. I'm not an expert. I don't have a degree in economics, and I realize that these are complex cases that you have to serve in a quasi-judicial capacity for regulatory purposes. But in 40 years of practicing law, I've read a lot of transcripts of testimony, and in those two submissions, there is a pattern, and there's some clear indications, if you read between the lines, of what they're telling this commission about this rate request. I believe it was Ms. Rogers who mentioned specifically in component after component where Veolia is overstating what they need or should get. She specifically mentions inclusion of plant held for future use as speculative. The return on equity she mentioned was overstated. With respect to the rate of return, she said that it was contradictory and violative of the regulatory impact, which you understand better than I do, that component of a rate increase request. She stated that, or I believe Ms. Reno was the one who stated that the average rate of return in the U.S. granted by regulatory authorities is 6.9% for water utilities, but Veolia is asking for 7.49, and its witness, Mr. Walker, actually asks for 7.85. There are a number of areas in their submission which simply don't add up and don't get justified for this commission to award what they're asking. As I said before, the council has already registered its resolution opposing this, and I ask the commission to act accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marin. Next one is, person I have is Gary Chapman.
Is Gary, C-H-A-P-M-A-N, Chapman.
Sorry. Go ahead, Gary. Mr. Chapman, I got distracted. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I just wanted to bring a couple things to mind. Right now, Veolia charges us monthly on their on the water that we use, and I think this commission, when they changed from quarterly to monthly, didn't really look at what the situation, how that was going to affect the ratepayers at that time, and I think we should go back to quarterly. Actually, we have now a minimum usage per month. When we have a spike in water usage from whatever reason, it gets to the point where we get charged overage, and we have no way to recover that. And when we had quarterly, we could manage our water usage over a course of 3 months, where we would have, if we went to 10 cubic feet and overage was at anything over 8, if the next month we went down to 6 cubic feet, we could manage it over a 3-month period so that we didn't have to pay any overage charges. But the commission at the time when they allowed that to happen, I called you after, and I talked to your attorney at the time. It was in 2019, I think, and when that happened. And he agreed with me that that wasn't looked at the time. But you can see that what happens is when you use overage in a 3-month period, you're able to compensate for it if you know that. Where when you're on a monthly charge, there's no way you can recover it. So they had an increase in revenue at that time based on that was never accounted for at the time. No rate increase, but certainly an increase in revenue. So that's one of my questions. And also is I didn't realize this hearing was taking place until today. So I tried to do as much get as much information as I could from the computer, which is not always correct. So if I'm not correct, I apologize. But it seems to me that our surrounding communities, Westerly, North Kingstown, and the Kingston Water District, are all paying lower rates than we're paying right now. And they're all, I guess, on quarterly, from what I understand, on quarterly billing. So if you look at what's happening there, we're already paying more than them, and with this increase, we're going to pay even more. So I think that's important, because their municipalities, they're regulating their water usage. We have a private investor-owned company that's doing it, and they're looking at profitability where the municipalities are not, and they're able to do the water at a much better rate. So I guess I would just wanted to leave it at that I think that the surrounding communities are paying less than us already, and with this it'll be even more.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. The next name I have is John Gerard, I think, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Maybe I botched the pronunciation.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Gerhard, JONATHANGERHARD, and I'm the town engineer for the town of Narragansett. I just want to say that the town solicitor for Narragansett had a schedule conflict this evening and is not available to attend, but the town manager is here with me on behalf of the town. The town of Narragansett purchases all water that we distribute to our customers from outside suppliers, Veolia Water Rhode Island and North Kingstown, and does not produce any potable water. Generally, about 70 to 75% of the water we purchase is obtained from Veolia and 20 to 25% from North Kingstown. We service a total of approximately 5,350 customer water accounts, 4,500 with water purchase from Veolia and 850 with water purchase from North Kingstown. Veolia also directly services approximately 2,900 customers in parts of Narragansett, including the Pier area, Bonnet Shores, and others. The Narragansett Water Division is funded solely by our customer ratepayers. The proposed rate increases will have a direct impact on Narragansett residents, whether Narragansett or Veolia direct service customers, and the town appreciates the PUC decision to grant our motion to intervene along with South Kingstown. The proposed rates represent an almost 90% increase over current costs, composed of a 36% increase to the fixed charge and a 105% increase to the consumption rate. The total cost of water purchased from Veolia in 2025 was approximately $350,000. At the proposed rates, this cost would increase by approximately $320,000 to $670,000. This additional cost would be borne by our ratepayers. Veolia has also proposed an increase in public fire hydrant rates that would result in an increase of approximately $25,000 over the current total annual cost of $275,000. Public fire hydrants are paid from general tax revenue, and this additional cost will be borne by Narragansett taxpayers. The town understands the importance of drinking water and appropriate financing. We concur with South Kingstown and object to any unnecessarily excessive rate increases that would result in an undue burden on our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next name I have appears to be Patty Alley.
Hello, my name is Patty Alley. I'm a member of the South Kingstown Town Council, and I'm here today to speak about the proposed rate hike. Every single day, we hear about huge international corporations who seek to control and privatize our nation's natural resources. This is what we are talking about here tonight with Veolia. This is that scenario playing out in real time with our most precious natural resource. This is corporate greed at the highest level. And make no mistake, this will impact both ratepayers and all taxpayers in the towns of both South Kingstown and Narragansett. This is the Veolia playbook, and the information that was so expertly communicated by, I think, are you Miss Rogers? Or who? Yeah. I'm sorry. You did a fantastic job laying out the facts. I urge the ratepayers and the committee to really understand what's happening here. There are scenarios in towns all across this nation, or at least in our immediate area, New York, Pennsylvania. These situations are happening with Veolia that are not good for communities. So I would ask you to please reject the rate hike. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alley. Next name is Eric. It appears to be Brierly, or if I've got that right. If you can spell your last name for us, that'd be great.
Brierly, B-R-I-E-R-L-E-Y. Eric, E-R-I-K. I've been living in South Kingstown for 20 years, homeowner for almost 10. I've reached out to Veolia a handful of times through email. According to Veolia, through email, this money is being earmarked for past projects listed in their Book 2 of the filings by Veolia, pages 7 through 12. And those pages are 6 projects. If only 6 infrastructure projects means an increase of over 100% for the taxpayers, when more of our aging infrastructure in our system fails, what does that mean for us in the future? How many more tax rates are we going to see? Not to mention, after this massive tax increase, or massive rate increase, the 3 months out of the year I would like to use my outdoor water, I'm hamstringed into certain days or told I can't use it at all, even after the state comes out of being considered a drought. One of the main issues I have with Veolia, which haven't been touched on yet, or maybe I've missed it, is their fire hydrant maintenance or lack thereof. I reached out to Veolia via email asking for hydrant flow testing, which I was told that is private information they do not give out due to public safety issues. In South Kingstown, we pay the Union Fire District a fire tax. Union Fire District then pays Veolia over $400,000 in hydrant rental fees, which I was told is increasing by almost $100,000 this year for the Union Fire District. I can't seem to figure out why hydrant flow rate information is such secret information. On top of that, I have yet to find a hydrant in town that looks like it's been used or exercised in over a decade. According to Rhode Island state law standards for water utilities, hydrants maintained by the water utility shall be inspected and operated at least once every 18 months and shall be checked for freezing as often as necessary to ensure that they are functioning properly, which I can tell you wasn't done this winter after seeing many hydrants completely buried the entire winter. When asked about this in February, Veolia told me it was the job of the fire department to shovel the hydrants. So again, I asked what the $400,000 in hydrant rental fees actually is used for. As you are aware, there are multiple NFPA standards when it comes to public water systems, including fire hydrants. The minimum NFPA standard for fire hydrants is 500 gallons per minute with a residual pressure of 20 psi. Why is this info so secretive? Do they not do the annual flow testing, or does it not meet the NFPA standard and this is not something that they want to address? I'm the kind of person where I want to see the end result for what I'm paying for. Constantly, our taxes and utilities across the board continue to rise. I like to see what my hard-earned money is going towards, and I have a hard time figuring that out, driving around town and seeing what we pay for. Unfortunately, for too long, the public has put their head in the sand when it comes to the utility companies and their overreach, myself included. As consumers, we need to start making it more of a point to figuring out where our money is going and what it is being used for. I ask you to help the already burdened taxpayers of South Kingstown and not approve this rate hike.
Thank you, Mr. Brierley. Next person I have on the list is Jim Manny.
Thank you, sir. My name is Jim Manny, M-A-N-N-I. I'm the town manager here in South Kingstown for the past 4 years. Every day, and I'm also a resident of South Kingstown, every day I face the challenge of keeping this town as affordable as possible so that our residents can afford to live here. We have 32,000 residents. We have an aging community. We have at least 8,000 people that are over age 65. Unfortunately, on several occasions, as I walk around Town Hall, I've seen residents, always elderly, in the tax collector's office or outside in the parking lot, and they're visibly upset or crying. And I'll stop and ask them what's going on, and they say that, you know, they can't afford to live here anymore. Their taxes and all the other incidentals are just driving them out of town. These are real people with real problems, and $11 a month might not sound like a lot of money to most people, but to these people, it's a game changer. They live that close to the vest living here. But I do understand that things go up. Everything goes up. And I face that challenge every day on keeping our taxes and everything we spend here affordable. But I'm respectfully asking this commission to think of those people who are struggling, and that if you must raise the rates, please keep them in mind and make it as conservatively as possible. Thank you.
Do we have others? James Tierney.
Good evening. My name is James Tierney, T-I-E-R-N-E-Y. I'm a resident of the town of Narragansett, and I'm currently the town manager in Narragansett. First of all, I'd like to thank the commissioners for taking the time to listen to all of us this evening. And we do all understand and we're aware that public services often increase moderately over the years, but this increase that's requested by Veolia is excessive. I will not repeat the comments of Town Engineer John Gerhardt, as he stressed them so eloquently. But I will say that the proposed rates that are increases will have a direct and a significant impact on the residents and businesses of both South Kingstown and Narragansett. All I do is I would like to urge the Commission to establish a full and complete record regarding the cost, affordability, and public interest impacts, and to make a decision that would oppose the significant increase in something more moderately that benefits the residents and businesses of both communities. Thanks again for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Tierney. I've been through the list on the sign-up, but if anyone came in and didn't sign up, or if you've been watching and you change your mind, there is still some time for anyone else might want to speak. So I do want to thank you all for coming. I also want to thank you for the respectful way in which you've come out and made the comments. It was also impressive how so many of you actually did a lot of homework before you came too. And you just didn't come here just to complain. You had some concrete information that you offered to us, and we do appreciate that. Having no one else interested in speaking, I'm bringing a close to the public comment hearing. Thank you very much.